Welcome to the From Burnout to Recovery show with your host, Dr. Kate. This is where your journey to burnout recovery starts. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like work has become unmanageable? Join me and my guests for open and honest conversations about burnout recovery from the comfort of the front porch. I am here to help you build your resilience and prepare you for burnout in a whole new way through a variety of perspectives. Move past the idea that burnout can only be addressed by avoidance and work to integrate recovery into your daily life. Relax, take a breath. The From Burnout to Recovery show starts now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the From Burnout to Recovery show with Dr. Kate on Transformation Talk Radio and member of the Cornelia Stephanie Media Group. I am your host, Dr. Kate, and as always, I'm excited to welcome you to the show today. As you are enjoying the show, remember to hit that subscribe button and follow me at Dr. Kate Steiner on Instagram. You can also get all of our podcasts in the Cornelia Stephanie Media Group in our app. Just look in the Apple Play Store and the Google Play Store for Cornelia KS Media Group app, and you can find a whole lot of goodness there for you, including all of our shows. Today, we are joined by our guest, Carrie Jeroslow, and I am really looking forward to hearing more about her journey and the minimum practice that she employed as part of her recovery. International award-winning, best-selling author, intuitive and relationship coach, Carrie helps people heal from heartbreak by sharing the secrets to finding and maintaining empowering conscious relationships. She has previously worked as a commercial casting director and artistic director for the international show Blue Man Group and a massage therapist. She has owned a combination vineyard and winery in Yadkin Valley, North Carolina. The one constant in her life has been her own path of self-evolution. She's been featured in Thrive Global, Winston Salem Journal, Forsyth Woman, and Carrie, what is it? Tuja Wellness?
Tuja, yeah.
Tuja Wellness.
Forsyth, yeah, and Forsyth Woman. Mm-hmm.
Perfect, thank you. Has been interviewed by Marianne Williamson, Go All In TV, the ListTV, and many others to discuss the strategies in her first book, Why Do They Always Break Up With Me? This process has helped her, many clients create profound changes in their relationships and in their lives. She gets an abundance of joy from working with clients through her intuitive readings, healings, and coaching. It is a passion of hers to assist people on their path of spiritual awakening. Her second book, A New Paradigm of Education, co-authored with 7 other international educators and parents, was released in October 2021. In her spare time, she enjoys yoga, hiking, and music. She lives with her supportive husband and 2 children in the foothills of North Carolina, USA. Carrie, welcome to the show. It's so funny to talk to you at this point because we don't live that far from each other. And so you're in the foothills of North Carolina. I'm in the mountains of Virginia.
We're so
close. But I am so excited to have you here on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Kate. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Well, as we ask all of our guests, Carrie, if you would tell us a little bit more about yourself, your experience with burnout, and your path and journey to recovery.
Yeah. So you read all of the things, right, that I do. If I would put it in a nutshell, it was 2016. Mm-hmm. My children were 4 and 7, 3.5 and 7. And I had the business at the winery. It was, it's a very, owning a winery and a vineyard is an incredible experience, but it is very time consuming, specifically in the way that we do it. The owners are very involved. And I just realized at the end of that year that I had lost myself. Now I'm an older mother, so I had my children at 38 and 43. So I had, a good part of my early adulthood on my own, with my own time. And when my second child was 3, I just realized I didn't know who I was. I would go through my days. I was very short tempered, which is not typically like me. I just, I felt very lost. And so I sat down with myself and said, this is not working. I am not good to anyone. I am not good to the winery. I'm not good to my kids. I'm not good to my husband. So what can I do? Well, I had been studying yoga since 1993 when I lived in New York City. I took a class at the Himalayan Institute on 14th Street in Manhattan. And it was before there was yoga on every corner. It was really a fundamental yoga class. And from that point on, I practiced yoga, but it was very inconsistent. So either it was from a videotape that I did maybe once a week, once a month, maybe some years once a year. There was a time in 2007 when I managed a yoga studio. So I did yoga 5 days a week. That was great for 6 months. But then children came. And so, but I knew yoga was my thing. Yoga was the thing that connected me to myself. So I decided that I was going to commit to 30 days of yoga. And I was going to have a minimum practice. So if I got on my mat and did 3 sun salutations, so for those who don't know about yoga, that takes probably 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how fast or slow you go. If I could commit to that, then I would say I've done yoga for the day. So I started on a 30-day practice. I found it on YouTube, great teacher. It was 15 minutes a day. And I got to day 28. I did a certain yoga move. My shoulder gave out and I had a major injury in my shoulder. Oh. I still said, what can I do? Because I don't want to stop. I'm now at day 28. I want to keep going. I started to do Kundalini yoga, which is a different kind of yoga system that just uses your body in a different way. So I found on YouTube, I went on YouTube, I found a 30-day Kundalini yoga. I did what I could do. I didn't do everything. My shoulder was really hurting, but I came on my mat every day. So 30 days went to 60 days. And when I got to 60 days and I started to feel just mentally more in tune with myself, more connected with myself, I said, well, I'm going to go for a whole year. So I went 365 days. And most days I did probably between 10 and 20 minutes, but there were days that I did 3 sun salutations, 5 minutes. There were days when I didn't want to be on my mat, but I showed up anyway. There were days where on my mat, I wanted to be anywhere else and that my mind was anywhere else, but I still really wanted, it was almost an experiment to see if a less amount of time, but consistency would help me. And so I am now almost 5 years into it. Every day, I document it every day. I get on my mat. Even now, when I don't want to get on my mat, usually 5 minutes into it, it just feels so good. And what I found is that I got to know me. I have laughed on my mat. I've cried on my mat. I have pleaded on my mat. I have, had moments of giving up and reinvestment. And, but the consistency was really the thing that it's like my safe place now that I go to be with myself. And I think that's what helped me recover from burnout, was allowing myself to be wherever I was, allowing the tears to flow, allowing the anger to be there, allowing the joy to be there, and putting myself first just for a little bit. Yeah. So that was my journey.
I love the practice that you've introduced for our audience members, and really that minimal piece of one thing throughout your day. And it can be a couple of minutes, and the piece of, keeping that commitment to yourself and building that trust with yourself when you do that. And I love the piece about like documenting it, right? I think that is an incredibly important piece to that. I want to go back to what you said about your experience with burnout and what you were recognizing in yourself, because I think it's something that so many of our listeners probably have experienced, and that is kind of the loss of self coming out of being like an angry person. I know I have experienced this when I, get into a burnout state. I become a worse version of myself. My temper's worse, my emotions just feel more raw and those kinds of things. And my curiosity for you, Carrie, is that something that you noticed on your own, or was that something that like someone else brought to your attention?
It was probably a combination of both. Like you said in my bio, the one constant in my life has been my own path of awakening and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been on this path since 1993, was what I call my spiritual awakening. Was just the realization that I'm so much more than my body. That's how I define it for myself. But so I think that it was a combination, because when I was lost, I almost was so lost, so I was disconnected from myself. I felt an extreme sense of sadness and hopelessness. I think that was the biggest feeling that said, there's something up, there's something wrong. Of course, there was fatigue, but I kind of wrote that off of, well, I've been nursing pretty much for the last 3 years through the night. I nursed for 2 years every few hours, and the need of children to me took it to a whole new level. I used to work 60 hours a week with Blue Man. Oh, we travel all over the country. I would be flying everywhere, and that was still felt like it was mine. But children, there's a level of selflessness, I feel, at least the way that I'm parenting, which it's just the way that works for me. But we're very attached here in our little family unit. And I want to be there for the kids. However, I can't be there if I'm not there for myself. And that's what I found, was that I had to come back to myself. But yeah, it was probably my husband saying, what's going on?
Yeah.
And just, I think when I lose it with my kids, I think it's normal. I really do, like, lose it, like yell. But I didn't grow up in a family that yelled until my parents got divorced. But so that was really a new experience for me, that would come out of me. And I would deal with a lot of guilt. I'm yelling at my kids. I don't want to be. What am I, and I think those kind of roller coasters of feelings. The other aspect that really tuned me in to the need of that was being so affected by everyone else and judging myself. I got completely off of social media in 2015 because I realized that there was a part of me that had lost myself, because I didn't know where I stood in things, and oh, they're right, but what do I feel? So being very swayed by what was going on around me and other people, that was another sign.
Yeah. Oh, I think that is so important in that piece of, I think that feeling of disconnection and loss of self, and yes, and social media absolutely has that impact on it, and where we're either trying to measure our life by where other people are at, or as you were talking about, that aspect of everyone seems to have their strong opinion, and where do I stand in this and that questioning. For our parents who are listening and can, empathize and understand that feeling of, connection and care for their children, what is something that you would offer to them, and how they can start to give themselves back some time?
Yeah, I would, again, start with something small, something that you feel you can be successful with. So I guide people through self-care. I feel self-care and coming up with a maintainable practice for people who have no time is the most important thing that I could teach people. And it's a cornerstone of all of my programs that I do, because if parents, I know that there's 5 minutes that can be carved out of a day. I do my self-care at night most of the time. And that's when my children are asleep, and I can wind down and say, what's going on with me today? What happened with me today? That's really, to me, what self-care is about, is connection, is reconnection to self. So whether I guide people, it could be singing a song, it could be dancing, it could be knitting, it could be cooking, reading a book, journaling. There's so many, playing an instrument, there's so many different things, but what is going to allow you to go inward, feel good, and be successful? That's what I would say for parents. Take the time, because what I found is I'm a better parent. And I'm also teaching my children that that's important, to love yourself, to honor yourself, and to do that through the actionable step of taking the time with yourself. And so 5 minutes less on social media, that's pretty easy. You know, a little wind down, a little breath at the end of the day. I've done 5 minutes of following my breath. There's so much on YouTube. YouTube's like the place. I'm like, go to YouTube. There's so much incredible free content that creators make to nurture your self-care. So yeah, it's, you know, I hear it all the time, but it's like the emergency instructions on an airplane. Put the mask on yourself before you put it on anyone else.
Yeah.
That is really self-care.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely appreciate that. And I think it's true for all humans. And when you are feeling that overwhelmed and busy space, or you're giving so much to other people or your children or your partner, and that carving out of 5 minutes and starting with that for yourself each and every day. And I love tying it to the piece of, you know, have it be an activity that brings you joy, that, you know, I talk a lot with clients about play and joyfulness. And often we'll, you know, say, pick a song and do a dance party and be a part of that. But I really like the tie-in that you mentioned in regard to make it a success. So getting that win is so important for one, because you just like it, your happy hormones go all over the place. You get those endorphins, and that helps you feel so much better in that moment.
Yeah. And that's why I have a 3-step process of developing this maintainable, you know, you can go to my website to get, it's just a freebie, but part of it is documenting it. So I have journal after journal, and today I'm on, I think day 1,750 maybe.
That's fantastic.
So I look at that and I say, oh, wow, I've showed up for myself. And really, sometimes it is 5 minutes. And now my kids at 8 and 12 cheer me on. Mom, have you done your yoga today? Go do your yoga. And so they're joining in on it. They see that I'm a better mom and I feel a better person when I really take the time to spend on myself for just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I so appreciate that. And I love the suggestion of, yes, YouTube is fruitful with, you know, all kinds of practices, including this show, y'all, because we do a recovery moment at the end, every single show.
Yes, exactly.
So some are longer than others, but it does give you a moment to pause and slow down. So that the information and the way to direct yourself is out there when you take that courageous first step and find it, and then give yourself the time to implement the practice, for sure.
Yeah. And the mindset that there is always a solution. So this is something I go over in my course, is there's always a solution. You can look at, there's always a problem when I hurt my shoulder, right? Or I could look at, what is the solution? What could I still do that will show up? And now a lot of my yoga is very restorative. It's very much just resting, hand on heart, hand on belly, breathing, doing gentle stretches. That's what my body wants. There's sometimes my body wants to move. I do a more rigorous one. But again, that's the connection of myself, you know, connection to myself. What does my body need? And then giving myself what I need. in that moment.
That's awesome. I love that. Carrie, you have given such amazing insights, and I know our audience members have appreciated them. And remember, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. And then I also want you to share this with someone who you think needs to also hear it. Don't place judgment on that. Just say, I heard this and I thought maybe you would like to hear it too. And that's important that we share it with others so that we can really, extend this mission of ending the cycle of burnout and helping everyone into a consistent recovery practice. Carrie, if you were to offer one additional piece of advice to our audience members, what would that be?
That would be one additional piece to work. If this is a hard thing for you to come to really look at the worthiness aspect. Feeling worthy, that's an important aspect of self-care and of recovery from burnout, is the worthiness that I am worthy of living a life of joy and fulfillment. Looking at the experiences, the relationships that you have in your life, and assessing what makes me feel good. Saying no, putting boundaries. That's a hard thing. I'm a people pleaser. I just want everyone to be happy. But to say no is a really great and worthy experience. But it comes from feeling worthy, that base belief that I am worthy to give to myself.
That is wonderful piece of advice, and it's connect with your worthiness. And so listeners, I will challenge you for the next 24 hours. Every time you wash your hands, take a look in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and just tell yourself that you are worthy. You are worthy of that happier, healthier life. And then think about what are some of the things, and have that quick assessment with yourself. And what are some of the things that maybe you can say no to that will help you establish that greater sense of worthiness, and give that a try. And then let us know how it feels. Tweet, let us know on social media how that feels for you, because we would love to hear more about that from you. Carrie, where can our listeners find out more about you?
I would love for them to connect with me at my website, carriejeroslow.com, and they can sign up for my newsletter and get that freebie. It's a worksheet that's going to lead you through the 3 steps that I used and that a lot of my clients use. And then I'm also on Instagram, Carrie_Jeroslow_author_coach. Love to have you in that community too.
Awesome. So check Carrie out. We will have all of those links available in the show notes, so you can find them easily as well. And Carrie, thank you once again for coming on the show and joining me on the front porch today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an important topic, and you are helping so many people. So I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. I received that with all the care. So we are now going to go ahead and move into our recovery moment for this show. As always, I want to make sure that you are in a safe space without distractions to practice this. And if that's not you right now, give this a listen and then come back for the meditation practice later on. Know that you can always come back to these and practice them as much as you want. In the inspiration of what Carrie does in working with individuals on relationships and connecting with that compassion, we are going to focus on self-love in today's meditation. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable into that calm space and ready for today's practice. If we do not allow the natural love for ourselves to be expressed, love does not reveal its beauty very often throughout each day of our lives. Get into a nice, relaxing position. Remove any distractions for the duration of this session. Take the very first action in self-love right now. Your ability to breathe at will in all different kinds of ways. Our breath has been there literally our entire lives, changing as needed to the demand of the exciting circumstances and flowing effortlessly when we are resting. Taking multiple full and deep breaths every day is proven to change our bodies and minds for the better. Take in 5 full deep breaths, holding it for a moment at the top and naturally exhaling. 1, a nice big breath, expanding your belly and lungs as much as you can. Hold it and exhale gently with relief. 2, inhaling fresh oxygen that will be supplied to your bloodstream, holding it to soak it in, and exhaling without any effort. 3, inhale, feeling rejuvenated and invigorated by this breathing. Hold it and exhale easily. 4, inhale, noticing how breathing fully comes naturally for you, pausing to soak it in, and exhale any tension or worry. And 5, inhaling fully is an act of self-love, pausing to feel this love and exhale into complete relaxation. Let your breath flow at a pace without any effort from you now. By doing this, you are proving that you are capable of self-love. Deep breathing increases the supply of oxygen to your brain and stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, sometimes referred to as the rest and digest system. By breathing deeply and often, you are commanding your body to rest, which relaxes and rejuvenates you. This is self-love in its simplest form that anyone can do any time of the day. Now, let's honor ourselves by relaxing the mind even further. Notice how your thoughts are rising in your mind, one after the other. See them come and see them go. Some thoughts linger for some time, and some thoughts only come for a split second. If you can really focus, you will notice even smaller thoughts, such as describing the world around you or labeling the things in your surroundings. Let your hearing become super alert now and try to focus on some sounds around you. Maybe you can hear the sound of your breath. Can you hear nature nearby? Or perhaps cars passing by or people talking with each other. Just go from sound to sound, focusing only on one at a time. Now, stop focusing on any sound in particular and just allow all of the noises around you to come in equally. And when you hear them, they almost act as tiny waves of relaxation, calming your mind. Good. Your mind relaxes when you activate your senses on command. Let's use the power of your amazing visualization abilities to induce self-love. Begin to imagine yourself full of an abundance of self-love. See yourself now choosing healthy foods and cooking at home so you know all the ingredients you are putting into your body. Vividly see yourself eating well. When you eat well, see yourself enjoy these moments and you feel the nutrition that these choices bring you. Imagine now you have a strong will to avoid junk foods and unhealthy drinks. See yourself in great detail, confidently saying no to all of these things. You feel very proud now. When you avoid eating something unhealthy. Eating healthy is an essential component in self-love. Another form of self-love is observing your mental chatter. In order to have great self-love, you must expand the good things you feel about yourself and challenge any negative thoughts as soon as they arise. So hear yourself saying, "When I fully love myself, I am able to fully love others." Deciding to love myself is a wonderful agreement. Each day, I allow my love for myself to grow more and more. I am worthy of love, and I honor the joy that comes with it. Deciding to love myself unconditionally, no matter what happens, feels wonderful. I deserve love and self-respect. My self-esteem grows along with my self-love. I love and accept everything about myself. I completely and always love myself. Today, I love myself even more than yesterday. Truly loving myself is easy for me. The more I love myself, the better my entire health. I love every moment of my existence. Every part of me that makes me who I am is encompassed with love. I have unconditional love within me that flows in abundance to those around me. Now take one more deep, purposeful, intentional, lovely breath. Inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes, taking one more fresh breath, and know that whenever you love yourself, you will find love. Thank you all for joining me on the show today and for this recovery moment. Remember that for more recovery moments, you can follow me at Dr. Kate Steiner on Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to the From Burnout to Recovery Show YouTube channel. I'm so grateful for our guest, Carrie, for joining us today, and be sure to reach out to her at her website, carriejeroslow.com. I'm grateful to each of you for listening. Thank you for joining us on the From Burnout to Recovery Show with Dr. Kate on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Kate, and I wish you peace on your journey. Thank you for joining me on the front porch today. Remember, if you're ready to assess your own current level of burnout and find some pathways to recovery, be sure to take the Feeling Crispy quiz on my website, drkatesteiner.com. Be well, my friends. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Kate, on the From Burnout to Recovery show, where you are starting your journey to burnout recovery. You are invited to join me on the front porch every second and fourth Friday of the month on transformationtalkradio.com to continue growing in resilience and integrating recovery into your daily life. If you would like to learn more or find out how to work with me, visit liftwellnessconsulting.com.